All right, folks, we're live, and I'm gonna have to let Copperhead bring this guy in. This is some of his buddies from down under, way down under in Australia. But of course, y'all know him here in America too. Tell us who we got there, Copperhead.
We got a bit of a celebrity, I would say, this week. He's Speedway legend, media personality. We got Wade Aunger, who is he's a founder of Methanol Moonshine, but he is the best commentator of dirt late model racing in or dirt track racing full stop in Australia. Wade, how are you?
I'm best in the country, not too good in the city.
I'm with you on that.
This is what he's talking about. It's too early. It's too early right now, right? It's 5 o'clock somewhere, isn't it?
I know the guy that wrote that song. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. He did a better deal than most can on that. But you're right, 5 o'clock somewhere. I didn't. That's funny. Like moonshine. I got a buddy of mine that does moonshine here in Georgia called Granddaddy Mim's Moonshine. It's becoming a big deal. And I didn't realize they had it down in Australia. I figured y'all had something like vodka or something.
Well, it's only just now becoming a big thing, Steve-O. So it's not like it's always been a big thing, but it was COVID that really forced me to look at some different options. And my buddy Steve here in Mildura, he owns a gin distillery, and personally, I think that gin is a chick's drink. It's not something that I like drinking, but he said to me he has a vodka here, and it's called Stay at Home Vodka. He's like, hey, if you want to promote that for me, and I was like, vodka is not really a motorsport drink. No. I said to him, can you make moonshine? He's like, hell yeah, we can make moonshine. Moonshine is just unmatured whiskey. Right. And I was like, well, let's make that. And I like alliteration, Steve. So I like, Copperhead crushes it in Coonawarra. Steve-O steams in St. Petersburg. So methanol was our racing fuel. So I'm like, let's call it methanol moonshine. And we got together, and that's how it all started.
We were laughing not long ago, me and Copperhead I said if they ever made perfume that smelled like racing fuel, divorces would end. There would be no more divorces because I love to smell that, man. I guarantee it, that dang racing fuel, methanol, when it burns. Yeah, that's some good
How long
stuff.
have you been called Copperhead for, Bretto? I like this. This is
no one knows my name here. You're letting the secret out of the bag.
Nobody knows his Brett. I don't know his middle name, so that's okay.
No, I don't know. We've been a bit over a year. I've been doing it now.
Yeah.
I think it was like January last year I started.
Yeah, nice.
So, I don't know. They've got like 250 videos or something out now. I think I'm starting to work out how to do decent ones finally. So,
yeah. Who knows about YouTube, man? They change everything. They don't know which ends up. But anyway, but now you said when you come on here, I was making fun of your accent. You said I'm the one with the accent, but I don't know. We're here now. Copperhead, don't start drinking that now. Wait till after.
No, I don't even drink. This just I got a batch done. So that's the thing with Wade's is you get your own labels done. So they put a picture on the inside of the bottle of that was actually a picture Wade took when he did he's another boat of his string. He's a pretty good photographer, and he did a photo shoot of us one year out there, and that was one of his pictures he took. And so they put the label put the picture inside the bottle, and then they give you. Well, he actually did the write up too on the back. He did a big write up on the back of our motorsport team, and that's the little what would you call it, Wade? Like the niche or something?
Yeah, definitely. We there's a really nice 2-car Camaro team. We call them Camaros. We just did a bottle for IES Motorsport. I just announced the TA2 muscle car series on the weekend down at Winton, and these guys have a really, really badass looking 2-car Camaro team. So we do a custom bottle, and then they do all the cool pics inside, and then sweet looking hot rods, these guys too. So just something a little bit different. But we did a badass shoot with Copperhead and his beautiful Misso. How many years ago was that now, Bretto?
Well, it's getting on. I reckon it's 4 or 5 years.
One of my absolute favorite photographs too. It's like, Steve, are you familiar with the Australian cult film Mad Max?
Are you kidding? Everybody knows Mad Max. Yeah.
So I live about 2.5 hours from where Mad Max was filmed.
Right.
And so anyway, Brett and Sash and I, we got talking. Where was that originally? It wasn't in Mildura where we talked about it, Bretto, was it? It was like the late model title or something like that down in.
I think so. It might have been it might have been at Moama at the Vic title, I think.
Yeah. So Sash has this really amazing collection of. She goes to what we call op shops and just creates these incredible looks. And I was like, got this really. He didn't have the big scary beard back then. He was like a little less. Well, he's always been scary, but he doesn't look as hipster as he did back then. So I was like, hey, we should get together and do a photo shoot with you and Sash. And man, she killed it, man. She absolutely just. So you had the late model looking really mean and Brett looking really mean, and then you had Sash just looking like she just sailed in off a catwalk. And I love doing that stuff. I love where you take racing out of where you expect it, Steve-O, and you put it somewhere different. And it was a really cool mix of two worlds, you know. I'm really glad that you did it, Brett, and Sash looked incredible. So it was a really good
we
day.
had a ball. We would have if we gave up for a while there, but we would have continued doing them. But that was just like in the back of the pits, and it was like it's just sort of amazing what you can create from, like, if you looked at the back of those pits, normally you would see nothing but like a bit of a rubbish pile, and then the little artist eye comes out, and we made these amazing pictures from it. So.
Well, you got to have an eye for it. That's something I ain't got. You got to have an eye for it. I mean, ain't no doubt. And Wade, I mean, you're a race announcer. You do in Australia, and you said you were up here in Knoxville. You said you've done in Knoxville and all over. Where have you? What races have you done here as far as that? You stick with dirt, or I mean?
Yeah, predominantly in America, my stuff is dirt. So in Australia, I announced Top Fuel Drag Racing, Top Door Slammer, Muscle Car Series. But my love is 2, 3, and 4 wheel. We call it Speedway, Steve-O. So anything with a dirt circle, we call it Speedway. So that's my passion. I've announced boat racing, I've announced ski racing, motorcycle racing, pretty well anything going fast. But when I come to the States, it's predominantly the Knoxville Nationals at Knoxville in Iowa. The late model Knoxville Nationals, and also an event called the Super Nationals, the IMCA Super Nationals in Boone, Iowa. Bretto, you got to get to that place, mate. There's 1,000 cars, like over 1,000 cars. They race from the Saturday till the next Saturday. They start at like 2 p.m. They finish at 1 or 2 o'clock at night the next day. It's like modifieds, late models, hobby stock cars. And they're badass. They run 5 wide, and they work the track. They call it farming, Brett. So you don't grade the track, you farm it.
Right.
They come out with like 4 or 5 full-size John Deeres and 2 full-size school buses. And that's how they run the track back in. And they play Green Acres. Every time. Green Acres is the place to be. So when you come out of Super Nationals, but I got to say, Steve-O, Iowa has the 2 biggest dirt track races in the world. It has the Knoxville Nationals, and it has the IMCA Super Nationals, and I love them both. The Super Nationals is very grassroots, very down to earth. It's grassroots racing, whereas the Knoxville is maybe a little bit more like the Formula One end of the side of things. But IMCA Super Nationals is every bit as honest and as real as any racing I've ever been to.
Well, you said the Knoxville Nationals, and is that in Knoxville, Tennessee? Is that where they have them at?
No. And so many people make that screw up.
See, that's where I'm thinking, when you say that, because that's just Knoxville ain't but 2 hours from where I live at.
No. So Knoxville, Iowa, and a lot of Aussies make that mistake the very first time they go there too, Steve-O. Right. They literally roll into Knoxville, Tennessee. And we even had a few years ago, do you remember that movie, Logan Lucky?
No, I don't believe Logan. Logan Lucky? No.
Yeah. So Logan Lucky had Channing Tatum in it, for Magic Mike and stuff. And it was actually a movie done by the guy that did Ocean's 11, and they steal money from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's a really cool movie, and there's a lot of the NASCAR drivers. What are you drinking, Bretto? Is that iced coffee?
Yeah.
Yanks don't know how to make iced coffee, mate.
No, I'm going to have issues, am I?
There's three things that Yanks can't make as good as Aussies, and I say this with respect to you, Steve-O.
Right.
Not good coffee, not good chocolate milk, not good iced coffee. But the rest of it, you got it killed, mate. So in Logan Lucky, that debuted a couple years ago, and Channing Tatum was going to come to the Knoxville Nationals to launch the movie, and everyone was like, "Oh wow!" It's like 25,000 people go to Knoxville Nationals in Iowa,
right?
And but then he realized the last minute it wasn't Tennessee, and so he canceled it, which is disappointing because we're all like, "All right, come on, bring it. We'll show you what real racing is." And yeah, they didn't come in the end. But Knoxville, Iowa, is a town of 7,000 people.
Right.
It swells to 25,000 for the 4 days of the Knoxville Nationals. It is a huge event. Huge.
I don't know. Now, I don't know. You know a lot of the race drivers over here. I grew up in North Georgia. I'm in North Georgia. I'm at the border of Western North Carolina and North Georgia. I mean, I live 2 miles from North Carolina line. We got a little track down here called Tri-County Raceway, and it's just I mean, that's where we grew up, and that's where I stayed when I was a kid. I mean, we had a B Cadet, which they don't even have anymore, and that's where we raced. But anyway, Randy Cook drove Dad's race car, and then he's got a nephew that got into racing a little bit, but he's gone on to be pretty big. But I don't know if you ever heard of Ray Cook.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Ray drove the first car he ever drove in his life was my daddy's race car, rolling the track out, like you say. That's what he did. Ray did. But,
yeah, right.
Yeah, Ray's I've known him since he was a little old bitty fella. He's a very good friend of mine.
I was up in Mooresville 2 years ago. I went up and hung out with Ray Evernham and his beautiful wife, Erin. They took me through some of Ray's car collection, and I went up to Williams Grove and went to the National Open. And Ray said to me, "There's a race you really need to go to, Wade, called the Race of Gentlemen, TROG, TROG. And Bretto, you should see this thing, man. It's like all these old roadsters and motorbikes and drag cars and stuff from the period, but they race on the beach in Wildwood, New Jersey. And so it's an absolute trip. You need to check it out on Instagram and on Facebook. I didn't get there last year. It actually got rained in. The ocean came in, the tide came in and wrecked the whole event. I think they rained out the National Open at Williams Grove as well. But that's one event I do want to get to, Steve-O, is the Race of Gentlemen. It's a pretty amazing. And Brett, you would know straight away when you see it. If I drag it up onto like Instagram, I'll take off my Britney Spears thing that just appeared there. So there's this kind of stuff, right?
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. There, yeah.
Right. So they race them. It's a little bit like Bonneville back in the day, and and stuff like that. But they race them. These kind of badasses, you know.
That's cool.
And they race them on the beach, just like drag race them on the beach. And the girls do the checkered flag. They jump in the air in the little overalls and stuff like that. It's kind of like Bonneville meets, that kind of stuff,
Oh yeah.
So I haven't got there yet, but geez, I want to.
I'm ready. And where's that? Where they have that at now?
Wildwood, New Jersey.
Yeah, we need to go. I'd love to go. I can make it.
That's all up the top, isn't it?
It's up the East Coast, northeast coast. I went to
Where's
New
cold?
Jersey. Well, yeah, I mean everywhere's cold in America during that time of the year. But I went to see Kiss play at Continental Arena in New Jersey back in, I'm gonna say it was 2007, and I had a Kiss shirt on and it said on the back, Melbourne 2001. I was there, and some guys like, "Oh my God, you're from Australia? That's so cool. Hey, you want a beer? You want a hot dog? You want some coffee?" Yeah, they got a different accent up there.
Yeah.
I got some beautiful friends in Mississippi, Steve-O. Lifelong friends that came down and raced. My friend Scott Slay, he came down. He's from Clinton, Mississippi. Mississippi. They take the S's out. And he came down and run with us. And when I first met Scott, I went to his house. They had a little Corvette dealership, and his dad dragged me into this little kind of corner office, and it had this little tiny little 35cc motorcycle, and I'm filming it to get some publicity for Scott to come down. And his dad goes, "We gave Scott this 35cc motorcycle with a centrifugal clutch for his 3rd birthday." And he would ride that thing so fast. And we would say, "Scott, you got to slow down. You're going to hurt yourself." Yeah. And he would say, "Daddy, do you see this? That says go fast." And I'm like, this guy's hired. I don't care. If he can't drive out of sight in a dark night, he's hired. And he came down, and to his credit, Scott was amazing. We called him the Mississippi Missile. And and that was in 2000. And we painted a Confederate flag on the roof of his Dodge Avenger. And that was back in the day before all the bullshit about Confederate flags, Steve-O, when the world wasn't taking it.
Oh, you ain't telling me nothing. I know John Snyder, who actually had the Dukes. Yeah,
I heard that.
Yeah, he is. He gets pretty bent out of shape about that. I ain't no doubt, because they're like, oh, it's a hate flag. Ain't nothing to it. Has nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it.
No. And the Dukes of Hazzard, TV show was a phenomenon in Australia as well. Like we all loved it. In fact, on the weekend, a guy ran a Dodge Challenger here in that muscle car series, bright orange with the 49 in the brick style lettering. And, I still said, oh, he's come straight out of Hazzard County. And
right.
And the movie was good too, because they took the piss out of that. When I say took the piss, it means they poked fun at the Confederate flag on the roof. Remember when they're sitting there in that?
Oh yeah.
Jam, who go, woo, the South will rise again. And then there's like, you rednecks, and they're like, what? The world was a much more fun place a few years ago, wasn't it, boys?
Man, if you can't laugh at yourself, you can't laugh at you can't. Yeah, I mean, who wants to be around somebody who can't laugh at themselves? I do a radio show every morning, man, and I make fun of everybody. I'm kind of like Fox News in reverse. I'm unfair and unbalanced, but man, we have a lot of fun, because there's a lot to make fun of out there, and I don't even care. But I'm with you on that. But now you talk about
too many minority groups now, mate. Unfortunately, you don't be Bretto. It's just too much about minorities. It's like
that's all it is here. If you, it's. Like Stephen knows, I actually want to move to America. You probably don't know this, but yeah, I want to. I'm planning on packing up and going. So, because it's just, to me, we've gone a bit. We've lost the plot. We're not who we used to be over here anymore.
Well, I got some bad news for you, Bretto. America has exactly the same problem, mate.
But we can just go deeper into redneckology.
Here's the problem with him moving to America. We can't find no place warm enough for him. I keep saying,
he's a pussy. He lives up in Queensland where it's always warm. We're down in Victoria where it's as cold as a mother-in-law's kiss almost every day in June, July. So,
seriously, you think it's hot? Where Wade is, when we went there, what was that? Yeah, that was the year we did the photo shoot. It was 55 degrees Celsius. So turn that into Fahrenheit. I don't know what that's probably like 120 or something.
That's crazy.
You could cook your cat on the bonnet of your race car. I'm telling you, like that was ridiculous. And I'm like, what the hell? We're doing a photo shoot and it's 55 degrees Celsius. Yeah, I'll do the conversion. Where's my phone? I reckon that's like 120.
If I found that picture that we used in the bottle, Bretto, do you mind if I show them?
No, you're right.
It's a really cool.
I've got them all, but I've got them in. I don't know. I've got them all saved in some Dropbox or something, so it's hard for me to work it out to get them out, because, it was only like 18 months ago I worked out how to turn a computer on.
Wait, how in the world did you get started in announcing though? You definitely got the radio voice for it.
Mate, my parents say to me that my announcing hasn't changed since I was a little kid announcing Hot Wheels cars, on the bedroom floor. So I don't think there was ever a time where I made a conscious decision to be an announcer. It kind of just fell in that way. I've loved dirt track racing, like my whole life. Yeah, so it's yourself. Once dirt gets in your soul, you can love every other form of motorsport that you like, but it's never going to be as, as cool as dirt. So no matter what form of motorsport I announce, it's never as cool as announcing late models or sprint cars or motorcycles. So I pretty well started announcing and writing stories and things when I was 15.
Wow.
So 52 now. So it's coming on about 37 years now. And, back in 1992, Steve-O, I got my first chance to go to America and went to the Knoxville Raceway, and I went to a little place in Wisconsin called Hales Corners, to the Beer Town Showdown. And that was the year that Rodney King riots all happened in LA. So we ended up changing our flights to fly from Perth in Western Australia to Auckland, New Zealand, to Honolulu, to San Francisco, to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, in the one, flight sector. Right. And it rained out both nights. And we're standing in the parking lot with some guys, and some guy goes, "Man, I come all the way from Indiana for this." I'm like, "Big deal, mate. We came all the way from Perth, Western Australia, and we're standing there in the rain, and next to the rental car, and there's all this water on the roof of the rental car, and one of the guys gives us these atomic fireballs, these little red candies, real hot candies, and my buddy Tom, he throws it in his mouth. Well, it was so hot, he's licking the water off the roof of the rental car, and this this old guy goes, "Lord, one night at Eldora, it was so cold, we was eating two at a time."
Now, Eldora's big around here. That's where everybody here goes to Eldora.
Yeah, I got to announce the historical big one in 1994 and 1995. That's when they used to run USAC on the Wednesday, All-Stars on the Thursday, Friday Outlaws, and then Saturday 100,000 to win. And it's always been a remarkable place. Mr. Boltus was always very kind to me. When I started announcing there, I called one heat race for some fun, and he called me over to his chair. He used to sit in this little director's chair at the back of the announcer's booth, and he always had his hat up like that. And he called me over and he whispered in my ear. He goes, "You make me laugh my ass off." So I guess that's a good sign. So I stayed for the weekend, and then I come back and announced the year after. And it was the year after that I got an opportunity to help out at a track in Ohio called Millstream in Findlay, Ohio. I spent 6 months in America helping at a track there, and Mr. Boltus didn't want me to come to Eldora anymore because I was working at a rival facility. Yeah. He didn't like it very much. If you're all about Eldora, Earl was good, but if you weren't, he wasn't a big fan. So I had very little experience with Eldora after that. But Tony Stewart, Steve-O, has done a phenomenal job at that place, hasn't he?
Yeah, there ain't no doubt. I wish that's the thing about it. I'm kind of down on NASCAR. I used to follow NASCAR, but a lot of folks have quit. And if you look at the stands, they're all empty with NASCAR. And I thought there at one point like Bill Elliott, he lives right here where I
do. From Dawsonville. Yep.
Yeah, he's right here, and and he lives. I'm in Towns County. He's got Union County, which is the next county over. But I thought they were going to start their own little racing thing there for a little while, like a stock car thing, but it kind of faded away. But that's just kind of what the hints I was getting on that. But I wish they'd have done that because I am so sick of NASCAR. I mean, it's not even that Josh Williams thing. What do you think about that? Just happened over the weekend. Did you keep up with that?
No, I don't follow it anywhere near as much. And you know what? I think to your point, Steve, I think that everything was bigger back in the day.
Right.
Like everything was, because there was less options, like when you think I'm a big Rusty Wallace fan, and it's because my first real experience as a fan was when he had the Miller Genuine Draft #2 car.
Right.
And I do remember that I bought a Bill Elliott Budweiser polo shirt, and I was standing in the men's bathroom having a PI 55 there with the shirt on, and this American said to me, "Oh, Bill Elliott fan, huh?" And I said, "Oh, no, I just like the shirt." And he goes, "Another freaking Aussie." I mean, I had a Dale Jarrett Interstate Batteries jacket. I had a Bill Elliott Budweiser shirt. I had anything I get that was Rusty. But I think when you go back, it's not fair to compare, the Earnhardt era, the Jeff Gordon era and those kind of guys, because they were kind of allowed to be themselves. The social media world has made it. There's so many political bullshit ramifications now, Steve, that you can't be that person anymore. And you only had to look at all that crap that went on with Bubba, with the garage. So people want a reason to create havoc and have an opinion on social media. So I think that really magical time where Dale Earnhardt would just, go down there and punch someone or tell him to shut up, and you respected that he was the man, even if you weren't a Dale fan, you respected the era and you respected the boots. And in '92, when we went for the first time, we went to the Michigan 400, and I remember Dale blew an engine going down the back straight, and he went all the way through 3 and 4, and all the non-Dale fans all stood up and went, "Bye, Dale."
Right.
It was just this beautiful. Even though they hated him to win, they respected, who he was. And my friend Barry Graham actually started the Richard Petty driving experience. So back in the day, he invested, everything he had into creating that NASCAR experience. So I've driven at Charlotte several times, doing NASCARs there. And
that's a good track.
Different time, Steve, a less complicated time and less options. Now kids are on their phones or on their iPad at any other race. And so I don't think anything is as popular as it used to be. I hear what you're saying, and the cars don't seem to be as relatable and all that stuff. But you know what? I bet that our parents felt the same way about the era before their era.
Well, I can see, right. I'm with you there a little bit, but I just think all these rules and regulations they're coming up with is taking it away from the driver and put it to the, I guess what my biggest thing is, I think when money took over, that's when everything changed. I think when the money actually started going to NASCAR, that's when everything started. Because that Bill, whatever his name is, he said he'd like to go to a NASCAR race and not see one rebel flag. He wanted to go to NASCAR, and he's got it. It's there because there's nobody in the stands at all. But yeah, I don't know. I worked back when I was a kid in high school. I worked when I didn't go to school, and right out of school, I worked for a company called Trick Racing Engines, and we done ARCA cars. That's what we built. Yeah. We done racing heads for ARCA cars, and we got to go to the track. I got to go to Speedway, and I got to go to Charlotte, and I got to go all over and hang out with all the race drivers. It's just a different time. Like you say, it's a different time. The drivers are so much different. Richard Petty is probably one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
And
Steve, if you asked a kid now, they all love like Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson. There you go.
Looky there. Look at that.
Have you got the one of Sash hanging out the window that we used in the?
Yeah, I found one.
Now, was that Fabio standing there by the side of that car?
That was Fabio, mate. Don't worry about that.
He's a lot more badass looking than Fabio.
Yeah, this was Wade. I don't normally wear sunnies. This was Wade made me do this. Here's some badassy.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, they're great looking. They were great looking.
But I'll find that one. I think I found that one you're talking about, but I think I've got writing on it. But
the kids today love Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott and those kind of guys. To be honest, I love the era where the Harry Gant era, where the cars were more square.
Oh, I love Harry Gant, man. I ain't no doubt.
But I don't think it's any cooler now. It's just different. It's just different, The kids, they relate to Kyle Larson. You and I related to Richard Petty,
Yeah, I'm with you on
that. That's the shot right there. Look at that.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Now, you do a lot of photography. You do a lot of that. I mean, I've seen a lot of stuff on your social media stuff that you got.
Yeah, I just like shooting stuff that's different, I just like this is my son Liam in our backyard, gassing her up in his Speedway cart. I just like shooting.
Aussie champ?
What's that? Yeah.
Is he still Aussie champ?
No, not now. No. So we take like a late model out.
That is awesome.
And he had a buddy, believe it or not, that owns that Batmobile. So,
no kidding.
Yeah, we went out and shot some super cool.
No, that's awesome.
So you just got to put. There you go. This is one of the coolest photos I've ever taken, Brett. Oh, look at that badass.
I love that.
I remember when you did that.
So we got in trouble for it. I know that we weren't supposed to go in the quarry apparently, and look at Sash. She just looks. I mean, I got to be honest with you, Steve. I was a little bit scared. I'll be honest with you. Not because Stash was going to beat me up. Brett was a pretty scary looking guy when I first met him, but they, to their credit, they both him and Sash, they just got fully into the idea of what I was trying to do. I was trying to create Mad Max meets fashion. I like that Sash brought what she brought to it, and Brett brought what he brought to it. So I wanted to capture those two worlds, because race cars are cool, but people are cooler, Steve.
Right.
Well, that was the thing. Like my dogs were the most talked about dogs in Australian racing. And every time Wade would say, "Oh, Brett can bench press a late model," and then he's got these three little fluffy Pomeranians, and then I'm remembering one of them. He said, "And you go past his transporter, it looks like Mad Max transporter, and then there's these lace curtains hanging out of it."
Yeah, 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 absolutely. It's all about people. People don't relate to race cars, Steve, unless they worked on them. They can't tell you what. They can't tell you, that you're running a 4-bar car in a Masters built. Or a rocket chassis got this or that. They don't relate to that, but they relate to people, a husband and wife team or two brothers or a family that goes on the road together. And so flesh and blood is always cooler than steel and wheels to me.
I like that saying. That's pretty cool. Yep. That is awesome.
And that's the thing with a lot of people watching, they don't realize that if you they just think everyone's on an even playing field and if the cars and as well, and they don't realize how much setup. Like if you have a bar in the wrong spot, you're running last. You know, if you nail that setup, you can push to the front. But if your setup's not right, you're not doing nothing. You know, and they don't realize, you know, oh, that bloke's running 900 horsepower and this dude's only got 600 and he's running on secondhand tires. Yeah. And this dude's a millionaire running on the best of everything. And, you know, this bloke's running on a budget of, you know, $100 a meeting, you know. So the people in the stand sometimes don't realize a lot of that there's it's not like watching V8 supercars where everyone's sort of even, you know.
Well, Steve, you know, Brett will find this out too the more time he spends over there. But if you go back to one of the greatest motor racing films ever made, The World's Fastest Indian.
Oh, yeah.
And, right. And it's that story, that movie sums up why Australia and America have such an incredible affinity when it comes to car and motorcycle racing, because those people treated him so well without even really knowing anything about him at Bonneville. And so I went to Bonneville 3 years ago. I took my dad there on the way back from Knoxville. We drove through there, and man, what an experience to stand on the same piece of salt that, you know, Burt Munro and, you know, all those incredible legends stood on. But whenever I go to America, anywhere I go, people stop me and say, "Where are you from?" And then they'll either say, "Are you from England?" In which case I'll say to them, "Are you from Canada?" And they'll go, "No." And I'm like, "Well, I'm not from freaking England."
Yeah.
But as soon as they find out that you're from Australia, they can't do enough for you. And that's the beautiful part about your country, Steve-O, is that people are genuinely very good and they have good in their hearts. And it's harder to meet those people in the big cities because everyone's kind of watching their own back.
No, I know.
When you go into the South and you go into the Midwest and you go into the West Coast and even up in the Northeast as well, there's good people everywhere. But as soon as racing people get around racing people, we can change the world, you know?
I'm with you on that 100%. We got Alan Cars and stuff said, "Hey, guys, glad he's here." But, yeah, I'm with you. You know, that's the thing. Cars or music, I'm a big music guy. That all connects everything. I mean, it does, and there's good people everywhere. And I think the problem right now with the whole world is the crap people has rose to the top, and that's who's in control right now. But you know, like I said, you got the right and you got the left, and us guys in the middle, we still right where we is at. You know what I'm saying? I mean, yeah, we're still right here. So
I went to the 2 years ago when I went up to Williams Grove and you know, up to Mooresville and those places. I went to Gettysburg,
right?
And boy, Brett, if you need to go there, mate. Like that is one of the most sobering experiences I've ever had. It's a very emotional place. And you watch that movie about what went down at Gettysburg and the Battle of Gettysburg. And I didn't do the tour of the battlefield afterwards, but it really affected me in a very profound way. And I sat down for probably half an hour after that outside in the parking lot trying to process what I'd seen and what I'd been told. We just got to hate less. It's honestly, that is, without sounding like the Dalai Lama, we just got to freaking hate less, and we got to love the things we love more. Yeah. It's that simple, you know. Like, don't give a shit about whatever old mate's doing over there.
Who cares?
That's exactly right. Right. We just got to get back to what we love, and it's our family and our racing friends. And as long as you do good by people and you mean to do good by people, you know what? We can't go wrong.
I'm with you on that. 100%.
Yeah, I think everyone's a bit too wound up on what everyone else is doing, you know, like, and they're all like, we're not living forever. So I don't know why all these people are trying to change all this stuff when before anything happens, they're gone. So,
Steve, how long have you been doing what you do now with this stuff? How long have you been doing your thing here?
I've got a morning talk show. I've been doing it for 11 years called The Morning Dish on Lake 97.7 and 95.1. I've been doing it for 11 years. And then probably about 4 or 5 years ago, we started live streaming on YouTube with this show. And then me and my boys was hanging out. So I don't know. I mean, the Phillips Run Written Bubble Company, probably a year, I guess, something like that we've been doing. I said, you know what, let's video and stick it up and see what happens on that. But I've been around, you know, like I said, I fell into the radio business. I've got a band that we played, which I quit this year because I hate musicians. But
love music, hate musicians.
Yeah, I love music, hate musicians. If you're around musicians, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But Anyway, I went to we were doing a fundraiser for something, and they asked me to go in there and help them, promote it. And I went in there, done the show, and next thing I know, a week later, I was in there doing the show. The guy hired me to just be the host of the show, and I've done it for 11 years. I've got Personality of the Year twice for the state of Georgia over all the radio stations. And
really, that's cool, mate.
Proud about that. It didn't help my credit any. My credit didn't change at all getting that, but I've got to meet a lot of cool people, man. I've had everybody from Randy Bachman from Bachman Turner Overdrive. I'm sure you know I've had him on. I've had John Snyder on, Daisy Duke. Do you remember Burton Gilliam? I love him. I really love it. Blazing Saddles. Do you remember Blazing Saddles?
Yeah.
You know, the cowboy out there says, "Oh, boy, just hear us a song." I ain't gonna say what kind of song it is, but that was him. I love him. He is the sweetest guy. But I've got to meet a lot of people through that.
I seen one. We had Paul Tootle, the American Chopper dude, on there. He looked like he wanted to strangle someone. He didn't look.
Oh yeah, you're talking about the
Paulie Senior.
Yeah, he's really a nice guy. He's actually
he is.
He moved to Florida now. He's got a big place down in Florida.
OCC Roadhouse.
Yeah, it's going good too. It's going good, and I hope he does good. You know, that TV stuff just makes him out to be. They want you to be a bad guy. That's what they try their best to do, and he's not at all, man. He is just he is nice as he can be. He's a motorcycle guy. I mean, honestly, there you go. He builds motorcycles, so that tells you he's not no superstar. He's just trying to make a living like everybody else, but he's cool. But I've got So
and then Steve got me on the radio.
Yeah,
I see that.
So I don't know if he's scraping the barrel down or what.
Oh, they would love your accent, Bretto. They would love the way that you talk. The biggest thing that Aussies struggle with is we talk too fast. Particularly when we're over in America, and if you and I were talking without anyone really listening, knowing that people were listening, Americans would be like, "Wait, what?" Because the very first word most Americans say to me is, "Huh."
Yeah.
Sorry, slow that down. Yeah. And when I announce, I have to slow down because we do talk. If Brett and I were just talking like, "Mate, this guy Steve-O seems like a pretty cool cat. What do you reckon?" I like all like the fridge magnets and shit like that's on his fridge. Right. Most Americans would be like, "I heard the word Steve-O." But if we slow it right down and say, "Brett, that guy Steve's a pretty cool cucumber. Like, look at all the cool shit on his fridge." Then it's like when we listen to someone from Scotland or Ireland, it's always like, wait, what? And I love that about America is the accents that I get.
You ain't telling me nothing. I'm from the South. So, I mean, I'm the redneck vocabulary, and everybody else in America is like, what the heck did he just say?
You know what? Bullshit. You're from the South. We are from the South.
You're way down south.
You're from the North, buddy.
Well, I tell everybody I'm from South America. They said, no, you're not. And I said, look, you look at the Mason-Dixon line. I'm below it. I'm in South America.
With our moonshine, we say where down south really is down south.
So now you've been doing that. What about how long you been doing the moonshine?
Yeah, 2020. 2020 we started just purely because all my announcing gigs dried up because there was nowhere to announce any races because they shut down everything. So and then we just decided to my friend she designed this really super cool logo for us.
It's awesome.
It looks a little bit like Coca-Cola, looks a little bit like Jack Daniels. And we started making, like some pretty cool merch and stuff. Like on the back is a really cool, like a sprint car and a midget, and with our bottle, and
right.
And probably one of the most exciting things for us this year, in 3 weeks' time, at Vegas, is a guy called Buddy Hull from Dallas in Texas, who was going to run a top fuel dragster with methanol moonshine down the side, and all of our logos across his merch and in the NHRA. So we've been sort of chipping away and starting to get a bigger profile, and it's just the hard part, Steve, is every state has its own rules when it comes to liquor. Mm-hmm. Like it's a remarkably slow process. I'm going to say that politically correctly. It's a very slow process in, borders and state taxes. And, in Pennsylvania, the Pennsylvania government owns every liquor store, Brett. So you can imagine Dan Murphy's being owned by the Queensland government. You can't buy liquor anywhere but the state-owned liquor stores.
No, that's in North Carolina too.
Yeah, that's right. It's one of those state-based based systems, and you would think North Carolina would be the home of moonshine, right? That's where NASCAR is, like, for God's sake. But we have a partner distillery in Spencer in Iowa that makes our moonshine for us there, a corn whiskey, which is different to what ours that we make here is more grape and grain based. So it's a little bit more like a vodka, a lot smoother. But we're in Minnesota now, South Dakota, Iowa, and Pennsylvania. But we're trying to branch out into more states, particularly when Buddy starts that Top Fuel car up next month. All the NHRA fans are going to go, that's sweet. Where do we get that? You know?
Right. Yeah, that's going to be.
Well, I wanted to send a bottle over to Stephen, and it was like, there's no way you're getting that in there, mate.
Well, you can.
I was trying to send some down to you from Tommy's over here, that Granddaddy Mims, and I got a guy over here. I'm in a small town, so I know everybody. And he said, Steve, I can send this, but it'll make it to where they check it. And he said, then they'll all be drunk. It'll never go no further than that. Everybody be drunk from right there on. We'll never make it. So
yeah, it's you know that the whole Smokey and the Bandit thing, Bretto. That's a thing. You know, you can't take beer across state lines in some places. Like it's still. And you know the funny thing is, Steve, only like a couple of weeks ago we had the biggest sprint car race in Australia here called the Warrnambool Classic, and we pull up with our bus and our van, open up a table and a tent, pop-up tent. People come up and buy this out of the back of the car.
Right.
God bless Australia.
I don't know. Is that legal? I don't know if that's legal. Well, I don't know. Where holds that off?
Now, Wade, that happens here too. We got where you can buy it out of the back of the car too, but it ain't legal. Period.
Yeah. Now this is legal. We're licensed in Victoria because the distillery is here in Victoria.
Oh yeah. So you got like I don't know where they used to come in when they held events to the pub and try to get us to give them a license off of our license sort of thing.
Yeah.
Day license type thing for them to sell grog at their shows that they did. Yeah.
Yep.
You talk about North Carolina, though. In North Carolina, they can't advertise liquor. All the liquor stores are ABC. That's all they put up. ABC. That's all they can put up. Of course, you know, they got one in Hayesville, which is in North Carolina. We didn't have liquor in where I live at. We were Dry County for a long, long time. But that's the thing over in Hayesville. If you ask directions on how to go somewhere, they say, okay, you know where the ABC store is at? And everybody like, yeah, I know where that's at. Okay, you pull out, you turn left, or you pull out and turn right. That's always the landmark was the ABC store for years. You know, that's what they call it. I always thought that was funny. They couldn't advertise that, but they're finally getting liquor. They got liquor stores here where I'm at. They got 3 now. I guess we got a lot of drunks around here, but I know Tommy's pushed his liquor, his alcohol and or his moonshine, and every time he gets into another state, it's like, man, I made it to Florida. I'm in Florida, you know, but you know, you don't realize how much paperwork and all that went through.
I always said if we'd gone into the assault rifle business 3 years ago, I'd be nationwide in America. But when it comes to liquor, it's hard. It's going to be worth it, and I'm excited, and I'm very grateful for everyone that supports us. But it's been tough, but it shouldn't be easy. If it was easy, Steve-O, everyone would be doing it, right?
Yeah. Well, I love the name.
I said that in one of my videos last week. If it was easy, everyone would do it.
I love the name.
I did the 5-inch roof chop. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It seemed like, of course, they want that tax dollar. That's what it's all about. It's all about the tax dollar, you know?
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's that's why we're in Iowa, which neighbors Nebraska, and it neighbors South Dakota, and it neighbors Minnesota. But you can't take them across the border like that because the Nebraska government want their state tax, and it's all about the tax, Steve. You just hit it right on the head. It's all about revenue, and look, I get that. We don't want to rock the boat with that stuff. We want to be law abiding, and we want to do the right thing. And I understand where Brett's coming from. America is the land of the free, and it is the land of opportunity. But I've always said that America has the best and the worst of everything, Steve. You have extremes. You have extreme wealth, extreme poverty, extreme beautiful neighborhood, extreme crime. Everything is like very much a sliding scale, and extreme heat and extreme cold, that kind of thing. So my perfect world would be to live 6 months in America and 6 months here, because I've got to tell you, Steve-O, when you come down here, you'll realize this is the most beautiful country in the world down here. It's just a very well kept secret.
Well, I wanted to come down. I've always wanted to ride a kangaroo.
you idiot. Everybody thinks that kangaroos are, bouncing around on the, on the road down here. But I went to a camp only.
You should live where I am. They are.
Yeah.
They're in my front yard.
I was out the back of Roma the other day, Brett, doing some photographs for a pipeline.
I've seen that.
And literally,
then you just went into my industry. That's what I did before I retired.
Yeah, right. Well, I was literally out the front of this camp, and I just come out after the day, and I come back into the camp, and there was a kangaroo and her Joey like outside my balcony. I'm just trying to find the picture here now, the video of it. Quite incredible, That's when you think yourself you want to be able to show Americans it really does happen. It doesn't happen everywhere, but it does in some places. But right. Steve, you would love it. You would love the beaches down here too. And when I say beaches, I mean beaches, not bitches.
There you go.
Same but different.
That I live in a little town called Hiawassee, Georgia, and this place is different from anywhere. It's got the Blue Ridge Mountains. You ever heard of the Blue Ridge Mountains?
Yeah, Shenandoah River.
Yeah, and then we got a beautiful lake right in the valley. And man, it's beautiful where we live. Now, how often do you come to America? Are you back to doing announcing, back to coming over here? Of course, you keep going up north, but I mean, do you come down this way
every year? This is out my window, just at the camp, just the other day.
Oh well,
so it's literally on the balcony, like I'm looking out the back. See little Joey on the pouch there?
Oh yeah, I see. Yep, that is cool. That is awesome.
So you know what? They're good fun until they bounce out in front of your car.
Yeah, we got deer do the same thing here, man. You ain't telling me nothing. Yep.
Yeah, but they're not that good. If you want to have a nice lawn, they're not very good. You should see the grief I went through trying to keep them out of my yard, like to have out because we got a nice garden. Yeah, 3 years I had the boss smacking me around the head saying, "Get those fences done." Like we got a few acres, and so it's not an easy task to fence. About a kilometre of fencing.
They're vermin. Steve, I come over there every year to do Knoxville and also Super Nationals. And
right.
last 2 years, since 2021, I've been there at least once, sometimes twice. I flew home last year in the middle of my trip to see Kiss play a concert and then flew back the next day. So, I'm at least going to be 2 or 3 times this year.
So you like Kiss?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm bad. I've got it bad. I got Gene Simmons on my shoulder.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you had a tattoo.
Yeah, I got my boys' names here, and I got Gene Simmons on my shoulder, and I got hope and believe on my wrist, because sometimes it's like, just believe this shit's going to work out.
Hope. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, exactly right. I hope.
Yeah, that is so funny. Yeah. So what's your favorite Kiss song? What was your favorite Kiss song?
It's probably one that hardly any people would think of, but there's a song called Rock and Roll Hell on the Creatures of the Night album, which is one of my absolute favorites. But I got to meet and interview them in 95 when they toured Australia. And I got to tell Gene Simmons that I really wanted to thank him for the impact that his music had on me as a young man, as a kid growing up. They were an escape for me. And my mum and dad would get into it pretty hard when Dad would come home from work. They'd be sort of arguing a fair bit, and I would go out into the garage and sit in their car and put the cassette in and just crank it up so I couldn't hear Mum and Dad. So I got a chance to tell Gene that his music in a lot of ways changed my life, and he was really good about it. He was I was a reporter on the news at the time, but I got to step aside from the motor racing and interview Kiss. And there's not many people in their lives that can say they've met their childhood idol. They've thanked them for the impact they've had, and then they've had their idol affirm it. Gene, he wasn't a dick. I'd heard he could be a douche, but he was really, really good to me. He was. I understand that, man. It'd be great to think that you could go to church and feel better about life and all that stuff, but sometimes there's people with a whole lot of rage pent up, and there's only one. Your girlfriend's pissing you off, or your parents are pissing you off, so you just got to get in your car and go. And so it was a pretty profound experience for me. So Kiss has always been. I know exactly what you're saying, because Waylon Jennings was my hero growing up. That's who I listened to, Waylon Jennings. Yeah, right.
I never got to meet Waylon Jennings, but I know his entire band, and they are actually friends of mine. I mean,
wow.
I got to meet, of course, Richie Alpago. He was the drummer, and Jigger Bridges. Man, these guys are just so sweet. And I've even had couple of them helped me on some of my songs and stuff. But I know what you're saying when you finally meet the guys that you've listened to for years, and you're standing there face to face and just say, "Man, how many miles have we rode together across a, you know?" And yeah, it means a lot. It really does. And these and they're just the sweetest people. I mean, you know, they're outlaw country and all that kind of stuff. But these, you know, Marnie Robertson and his wife Carter, and all of them are just the sweetest, nicest, down to earth people there ever was. And I know where you're coming from, man. It's like you get to thank them, and not many people get to say, "Hey, I appreciate you."
But Waylon sang the Dukes of Hazzard theme, didn't he?
Oh yeah. Waylon sang the Dukes of Hazzard. And the funny thing about it, after you get to know him, like Richie Albright, which was the drummer, he passed away not long ago. But you know, we got to talk about all kinds of stuff, you know, and I love the stories of being on the road, not the trashy junk or all the stuff that people want to put in the magazines, but the real actual stuff. But when he did the lines for the Dukes of Hazzard, Richie was the one in charge of doing that. He'd have to find a place, a radio station or wherever to record them, because they would send them to him. He didn't have email and all that stuff back then.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't have none of that. So he'd stop and get them recorded. So Waylon, he was a character. And so when they asked him to do a line, he would change the line, and he would be very perverted about Daisy. And they would send them to him, you know, at the studio. And they would be so mad, you know, because of the stuff that Waylon would say, you know, about, you know, "Oh, here goes Bo. He's going to jump across the hill, but boy, old Daisy." And he'd say something very perverted. But I asked Richie if anybody ever kept any of the tapes of what he was saying, because it'd be gold now. But yeah, that was some of the stuff that you never hear about.
And Jerry Reed was big with the Smokey and the Bandit stuff, wasn't he?
Jerry Reed was, yeah. Now, Smokey and the Bandit was actually shot right here in Hiawassee. If you ever watched the Pond Hopping, that was shot right here. And
really?
Then, yeah. And then the Kissing Bridge, they call it, you know, where he pulls down.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's just right here. That's all right here where this is it. And actually this weekend I've got to go. I built a Blues Brothers car, and I've got a couple of buddies of mine that do the Buford and Bandit tribute. And Tim Phillips worked for Burt Reynolds for probably the last 5 years of his life.
Wow.
But I don't know if did you ever see the thing where they did down in Gainesville where they built that Burt Reynolds car and they had Burt come over and
I think I did.
Yeah. Okay. So the parts car, that's where it all got started. The parts cars and stuff that they got from Tim. And so Tim got to go hang out, and one of the guys says, "Burt, this guy could pass for your son." And they got to looking. So then Burt hired him to dress up like him. And like when he did meet and greets, because he couldn't really get in and out of the car. So he'd have Tim drive in dressed like him, because he looked just like him. I mean, he looks just like, he don't sound like him. He don't sound like him at all, but he looks like him. And then he hooked up with after he passed away, they kind of got a niche for doing that. And then he hooked up with a guy, Sean Bailey, that does the Buford T. Justice, and they have got it spot on. So we got a big thing going on this weekend down at Road Atlanta called the Bandit Buford Run. And so we're all going down, and I'm taking the Blues Brothers car. They'll have the Dukes of Hazzard car there, and they have the Trans Am and the Hooper truck and all that stuff down there, and just a bunch. It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
And hold up on that car wash there, gentlemen.
You got to go. Okay, you're on Facebook. I don't know if we're friends or not. I think I sent you.
We will be after this, mate.
Yeah, you need to go to Sean Bailey. When you go to my thing, look at Sean Bailey and Tim Phillips, friend them, and you will have the most fun, because I'm not kidding you. They look.
He sounds like him. We had him on the show, the Buford one. He sounds like him.
Yep, Sean Bailey.
They reckon that Jackie Gleason ad-libbed almost all of that shit. They just let him go. Like he just, when as soon as I get home, I'm gonna punch your mama in the mouth. Like all that. Just what is it? Georgia plates. Ban one.
Yeah.
Won't play with you. Not on my highway.
Yeah. Well, that was a lot of that was shot up here where I live at across. And another one that Black Dog. I don't know if you ever watched Black Dog with Patrick Swayze. We had the 18-wheeler and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, but that was all where they run the trucks off over the mountain and all that. That's actually the mountain that I go across that I live where I live at. So there have been a lot of movies. Trouble with the Curves been shot here. So it's a cool place.
Yeah, wow, absolutely. Those movies are just such a simple time. Life was just simple. Humor was simple. There was no political bullshit. It was just easy to watch. There was hardly any, special effects. Like my favorite shows as a kid growing up were BJ and the Bear and Buck Rogers in the 25th and a half century, because Erin Gray, she was smoking hot. Oh my God. That silver jumpsuit that she used to wear. Holy cow. all that stuff. The Fall Guy and Magnum PI and all that stuff. It was just easy to watch, and there were, probably my favorite was Rockford Files, just purely because
I watch the Rockford Files to this day.
Oh, and that car was just cool as shit, wasn't it? Like just.
Well, now that's another one you need to friend if you get on my Facebook, Jim Silva. And he actually got to help restore one of the cars that was Rockford. He is a Rockford Files guru. He actually got his own section that he writes blog about Rockford Files and all that. And then I've got to interview Gigi Garner, which is Rockford's daughter. I've had her on the radio a couple of times.
Yeah, right.
And then also, you remember Angel?
Yeah.
Angel Martin, the crazy guy.
Yep.
He just passed away. I got to interview him, and he was something else. I loved Angel. He was a trip. But actually, and I know his kids, so I got to know his kids through all that, and I keep up with him. Cool. Christopher Martini he's in New York right now. He's a film producer, and then Max Martini, he does a lot of movies out in California. I mean, a lot of movies with soldiers and that kind of stuff fighting. But Max Martini, but they're good people. Yeah, they're good people. But I'm like you.
I think if I could have met anyone as an actor, I'd love to have met Steve McQueen.
Yes,
he was just one of us. He was just a badass that loved his motorcycles and his fast cars, and he was just such a cool rooster, wasn't he? Like, man.
That's the thing, James Garner and him lived neighbor to neighbor, and they had all kinds of races and grievances against each other because they always competing. They were always competing. So I always thought that was kind of fun because Rockford, James Garner, he's a big race car driver. He was into.
Well, he was in that amazing movie. I only watched it just the other day. It was on Grand Prix. It was on just the other day down here. It was pretty graphic when they were running those old Formula One, those Lotuses, with the open cockpits and stuff like that. So, yeah, man, life was simple back then. It really was.
That's the thing. I can't find anything to watch on TV now. I mean, it just runs me up the wall. There's nothing and I hate. I can watch you. Okay, I watch Copperhead, but. There's no doubt Copperhead is a redneck. And the reason I say that is he did a video the other day welding, cutting a truck top off, and he's got his welding coat on. Okay. He's got his helmet on. He's got shorts and them things called you wearing Crocs. And that's what he's welding. I said, dude, you're
footy shorts. I was wearing footy shorts, Crocs, and then I had my welding jacket on and my helmet.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you wore Crocs, Bretto.
I love Crocs. I even went and bought I went and bought a leather pair the other day, like suede on the top, like they're my going out Crocs. I've got a set of steel cap Crocs. I've actually got a set of steel cap Crocs. I love them. Back in the day, you know why?
Steve, I didn't know this,
that at the pits now, they say there's a sign at the Speedway gate that says no Crocs. Now, that's because of me.
Really?
Yeah, because I used to always wear the Crocs into the pits and they'd say I had to have enclosed shoes, and I'd wear my Crocs and go there enclosed. What are you talking about? So I'd always argue, I'm wearing enclosed shoes. So now that says no Crocs.
If I'd known this, mate, I'm not sure I would have done this with you, so I apologize.
Hey, I don't own a pair. I do not have a pair of Crocs.
I reckon I got 20 pairs.
Wow. That is so
I remember because there are some subtle language barriers between Australia and America, and there's a lot of words that don't mean the same thing in Australia as they mean in America. And I took a tour group of 28 Australians a couple of years in a row, and we went to Charlotte to drive the Petty School.
Right.
And we went to the Sandwich Construction Factory, I think it was called, in Charlotte.
Right.
And so there's they're all pretty well middle-aged men. Hardly any of them have been away from their wives, so it was an experience. And we pulled up, and there's like 28 of us, and the greeter at the front of this bar, one of the guys calls out from the back as we roll. She goes, how many are there? It was like 28 of us, darling. She goes, okay. One of the guys called down the back, hey, darling, is it all right if we're all wearing thongs? and the look on this poor girl's face, and I said, he means flip-flops, darling, just to explain. Because
okay, thongs. I'm with you.
It registered with her that there's 28 middle-aged men all wearing thongs, and just a mental image. That poor girl's probably still getting counseling.
Yeah, see here, that's a G-string. A thong's just something you put on your foot.
Yeah.
Yeah, where I'm at, yeah, it's a G-string. It's like you don't want to see that because most people wearing thongs, you don't want to see that because
you'll see it at Walmart anyway. You'll see
especially a middle-aged man. I don't know. I don't even think my wife would say I look good in a G-string.
But here's the thing, Wade. You're talking about like he's wearing Crocs in the South. We'd say, "Well, bless his heart," and that's a derogatory thing. It's like he's an idiot. Well, bless his heart.
Remember that one next time on radio.
Well, bless his heart.
You said that to me before.
Yep, it's like mate. Mate means mate. Mate can be several different things. It can be, oh, no worries, mate. Or it's old mate over there, which means that dickhead over there. So mate can it all depends on how you use that term, because you can say, oh, mate, it's good to see you. Or you go, mate, knock it off. So it's not always a term of endearment that I think Americans think it is.
No, it's all to do with the tone.
Yeah, it's exactly right. Or whether you're wearing Crocs or not, apparently. See, little fluffy dogs and Crocs. You get this scary looking guy that looks like he'd beat up bikers, and he's got these little Pomeranian dogs, and he wears Crocs.
Bless his heart.
Bless his little heart.
Well, hey, when I put the socks on with the Crocs, that's when you go, oh, that's just too much, mate.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Crocs. Yeah, no.
Winter wear. That's me winter going out shoes.
Wade, when's the next time you're getting back to America? When you coming back?
Well, actually trying to work out whether I can get to Vegas in time for Buddy Hull to drive the top fuel car with our sponsorship down the side.
Right.
That's Easter. That's like 14th to 16th, the week after Easter.
Right.
So I'm not sure whether I'm going to get there in time for that, but definitely middle of July right through to October is the plan there. So from Knoxville, Iowa to the Super Nationals, then back to there, and then over the PA for the National Open at Williams Grove. And so there's a fair bit. I'm trying to get out to the Crandon, the big off-road truck event at Crandon, Wisconsin.
Oh, I love off-road, man. I love that. That is so cool. Yep.
Yeah. So there's some plans to try. We're trying to expand methanol moonshine and get into more and more markets and get into more and more states. So whenever I can get in and announce at these places, it obviously helps us to build the profile, of the brand when we're there. So, plan is at the moment, it'd be nice to get to Vegas next month. I'm not sure if that's going to happen or not, but definitely from July onwards.
Well, do you ever get down this way, like in the South, like Georgia or South Carolina?
2 years ago, I drove right down through there and I didn't see you.
Well, I got a mailbox right in front of my house. I'm easy to find.
Oh, well, geez, is it a Bass? Something like that. I should have probably seen it.
Well, see, that was my house. You should have stopped.
Just look up Phillips, Georgia. I'm sure there'll only be one in the book, right?
Yeah, that's it. I'm the only one. Yep, I'm the only one.
We will definitely make a way to connect, mate. Definitely work out a way to catch up. Brett, I appreciate you putting me in touch with Steve-O, mate. It was good thinking, and I appreciate it's good for you and I to catch up as well, although the Croc thing, I must admit, I'm struggling with.
You're upset about that, aren't you?
You think you know someone, man.
I know what you mean. Honestly, I'm with you. All right, man. We ain't gonna hold you up. I know, but if I can help you, I'll send you. He's got my number.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even know how we do Facebook, man. That's the only way we talk because I don't know how to call down there. You got too many dang numbers, so we do the Facebook thing and email. Yeah. But I can send you. Get him to send my email you up this way. Anything I can do, and if you need any, I know that Tommy is over here has worked diligently with this. His moonshine, and he might even have somebody you can contact to help, because
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
that we definitely, the more friends we have in that field that we can do that stuff with, the better it's going to be. So, and I do want to get to, is Woodstock still Dixie Raceway still going?
Oh yeah, Dixie, man, Dixie, yes.
That's like Brett, that joint is as slick as duck shit. It is like so shiny and slick. It looks like it's like glass.
Yeah, it's like the Holy Grail. Dixie's like the Holy Grail here in Georgia. Yeah.
Yeah, it's phenomenal, that place. So I definitely want to get down that way if I can, for sure. So we'll when I finish up here, mate, I'll add you on Stalker Book, and we'll definitely get some discussion going. I really appreciate you both and your time today, boys.
Oh, I appreciate you. Copperhead, I'm gonna call you Copperhead because nobody knows your name. But send him my email where you'll have it, and then we can
call him Crockerhead now. Crockerhead.
There you go.
What about the Croc Hunter?
There you go. Oh, well. Wade, thank you so much.
Hey, it's good to catch up with you guys. Brett, it's good to see you, mate. Give my love to Sash, eh?
Yeah, she's listening in the background.
Good.
She just said howdy.
I'm sure she looks amazing.
Always.
Good to see you guys, eh?
See us.
Be good,
See you,
Wade.
boys.
All right.